Right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Learn and Lead session from the Asian Women Advancing AI community. I'm Yuvika Sharma, and I'm super excited to be hosting this session alongside my wonderful co-host, Padmini Soni. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. So tonight's session is going to be part, it's going to be the first of a two-part series where our wonderful speaker will be doing a live demo on unlocking the power of LLMs on Amazon, Bedrock, and SageMaker. And today you can just watch and learn, but there will be part two coming up in a few days. So stay tuned where you will actually get your fingers on the keyboard and execute things on your own. So here's how things are going to flow this evening. Padmini is going to introduce our speaker shortly, and we will have about 30 to 40 minutes of presentation followed by Q&A. So feel free to drop your questions into the chat anytime. And just a quick reminder to please stay on mute unless you are speaking during the Q&A. And with that, I'll hand it over to Padmini to introduce our amazing speaker.
Thanks, Yuvika. I'm so happy to introduce tonight's amazing speaker, Ramya Ganesh. Drumroll. Ramya is a cybersecurity XDR leader with hands-on expertise in cloud platform like AWS. And she's especially passionate about the intersection of AI and cloud security. She's a top 1% mentor on TopMate, a LinkedIn top voice, a founding board member of a nonprofit, and a Women in Tech ambassador. Beyond her tech work, she's also a marathoner, bringing determination and resilience into everything she does. Tonight, Ramya will walk us through how to deploy LLMs using Amazon Bedrock and SageMaker, covering what these services offer, how to get started, and best practices for enterprise-ready AI solutions. We are so thrilled to learn from her tonight. And with that, Ramya, over to you.
It was a lovely introduction. Thank you so much, Padmini and Yuvika, for having me here. And for all those who have dialed in, thank you. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday evening and dialing in from different time zones. So I'll get started here with a small quote. In my screen, you will see let's start. If AI is the brain, cloud is the nervous system. So we all know that AI is where the learning happens. It's the knowledge base. It's where the intelligence is. But AI cannot function on its own efficiently without having an infrastructure or scalable solution and the compute power of a cloud. So today we are going to learn about this power combo, which is AI plus cloud. So let me get started here. So, okay, so that's me, and Yuvika and Padmini has already given introduction. So I'm a cybersecurity. I have a cybersecurity background for over a decade, along with cloud as well. But today I'm here to talk about AI. I'm also top 1% mentor on TopMate. I've mentored over 150 professionals so far. That's something I'm passionate about. And also a fun fact about me is I'm an early riser. So 4:30 a.m. I'm usually in my Orange Theory gym. So it's my routine. It's been like that since 6 years. I'm also a marathon runner as well. So this is something I do beyond my 9 to 5, which I'm equally passionate about and which I enjoy doing. So that's about me. So yeah, the key takeaways. So what are we going to do for the next 1 hour? So my goal for the next 1 hour is for you to, have some insights about how to get started with building your own AI project using Bedrock and SageMaker. And so what I'll do is the first 15-20 minutes, I'll walk over through slides. It will be about Bedrock and SageMaker. We'll also give a brief overview about Boto 3, and also I'll have some use cases about how it's used in cybersecurity. The next 30 minutes will be like a demo, visual walkthrough of the console, which will provide a better understanding of how things work in Bedrock and SageMaker. I will also be talking about Hugging Face model as well, like how we can integrate a Hugging Face model with SageMaker. So just want to know, how many of you are like in a scale of 1 to 5, just want to gauge like 1 being like if you're new to cloud as well as AI using AWS, 3 being like you've used AWS for cloud but not AI, and 5 being you've used both. So just want to know so I can, you know, like just go through the session accordingly. So if you could just put that in the chat, please. That's nice. So that's good to know. So yeah, so that's good to know. Like people are familiar with AWS cloud, and yes, most of it. Okay, and then AI was something new in AWS. That's good to know. Okay, and yeah, so I will actually start with the basics, just because it's just it is a session for you to get started. So I'll just touch upon some basics as well. So as we go along. So let me go to the next slide. Yeah. So as I spoke earlier, so cloud plus AI, so that's the power combo, because 90% of the enterprises today, they use cloud services. And out of the 90%, the 30% of the cloud market is actually owned by AWS. So it's always been a market leader in that space, followed by Azure and and followed by GCP, which owns like around 10% of the share. And 76% of organizations, they say that the biggest skill gap is in cloud and AI, because we have like cloud has been there for a decade. And so we have people skilled in cloud, but there are not many people who are skilled in both cloud as well as AI. So that's where the biggest gap is. So yes, so that is something that, so when we learn about AI, it's equally very important to learn how we deploy these applications in cloud. So go to the next slide. So I have a life cycle here of a cloud-based application. So I just want to go through how things work, like end to end. So the first thing is actually defining a use case, where you would define where you will see like, okay, what's a problem area that you're trying to solve? What's the pain area that you're trying to address, right? So that's your use case. So you define that. So, and then after the use case is defined, the next stage is you're going to determine, okay, which one would be the right model for your use case. So there'll be a lot of research on that. So trying to find what the right model would be. So we have 2 options there. So either we use the foundation model, the LLMs that we have, and we fine tune those LLMs, which is typically what many people use. Like many of the startups use it, many of the, like people who are doing projects basically use this one, where you're using a LLM of a foundation model already, and you're just basically either prompt engineer it or you're fine tuning the model. Because the creating a foundation model is actually, it is very, very, like it takes a lot of amount of data. So data being the secret sauce of any model. So it's for the big guys. So it is a lot of millions of investment, a lot of data involved there. So we basically, most of the people, the startups and all people who are doing AI projects will use the foundation model, and they will either fine tune to their use case, or they would prompt engineer it. Okay. And yeah, so this, and also designing a custom LLMs, that can be done as well. So if you want to do like a small model, that can be done, or you can build it from scratch. So that's an option. But most of the use cases these days fall under this classification. And then so once you have the model defined, you will be either, you'll be running some evaluation metrics, you'll be like performing some, performance and, all the other metrics that comes for a model. So you'll be checking that, and you'll be deploying that on a cloud. And once the model is deployed, that will be integrated with the various applications that's running in your environment. And then you will have this model inferencing. So this is basically when the model is deployed in production. So everything is fine. It's basically, it's there for people to use it. And people can just go and they can just use this for inferencing. So this is like the final stage. So this is the end-to-end life cycle. Just want to explain that. And yeah, so what is Amazon Bedrock, right? So if I want to compare it, so imagine if, you are in Prime, you're trying to, browse through a lot of movies that you're wanting to watch. So it's like a catalog of movies. So similarly, Bedrock is a catalog of models. So where you will find a large number of LLMs to choose from. So it is like all in one place. So it's a marketplace kind of thing. So you will find everything in one place. So rather than, going into 100 different places or 10 different places, 20 different places, trying to find the model, trying to integrate using the API, you have everything under one umbrella. So that's what Amazon Bedrock is. And this Amazon Bedrock is used by many startups these days because it's highly scalable. You have the same like pay-per-use pricing, which actually cloud offers, and Bedrock is basically you can just spin up an application in days rather than months. So that's how like fast you can get an AI application out there. So this is being used by many. So it was just introduced in 2023, and it came into vast prominence in 2024. So it's fairly new. And let me go to the next slide. So which is the SageMaker AI Studio. So this has been there for some time. I'm sorry, you had a question? Okay, so I'll continue. So SageMaker AI Studio. So this one is basically, it is the end-to-end platform that you use for training a model, using your data sets, and for deploying a model, for inferencing a model. So this is basically a one platform that you can find, that you can just do everything. The entire life cycle of a model can be achieved with just the SageMaker AI Studio. So it can be used for data exploration, model building, and predictions. It's like, if I want to compare it, right, it's like a Visual Studio, like what you use Visual Studio IDE, you use for building apps. And similarly, you use this SageMaker Studio to build AI models. So this one is something I wanted to show, like what's the the adoption trends. Like if you see, this is something that I covered earlier as well. So SageMaker has been there since 2017, and during COVID time is when it was massively used by many enterprises, and it's still gaining a lot of popularity, especially Bedrock. It was like, if you see the graph, it was introduced 2022, 2023, 24 is where you see the massive growth of Bedrock. It's being used by many. So like I recently have used it, for my projects. And I went to a university recently for a hackathon, and to review the projects that the students have done. And 9 of the 10 people were using Bedrock. So that's how popular it is for developing AI application these days. So I've been talking about Bedrock, I've been talking about SageMaker, but what is the key difference between the two, right? So Bedrock is like, say, for example, you have that it offers a catalog of ready-made powerful models. So the models are already built, and you're just going to use the model for either fine-tuning it, or you're going to use prompt engineer. Okay, so it's already there. So it's just picking a model and then fine-tuning it, and that's what Bedrock is about. But if you want to build your own model, so that's what SageMaker is for. So SageMaker is for building and training your own machine learning models. So that's a key difference between the two. So Bedrock and SageMaker. And so it's so it's like it uses predefined foundation models, and I would show all that in a few minutes when I go through the demo. So I'll just have a comparison there as well. Boto 3. So I wanted to first talk only about this one, Bedrock and SageMaker, but I thought I'll include this one as well because it's a SDK, it's a software development kit that is specific only to AWS. And it is a very powerful utility. It is basically like it's 99% of time when you build AI application using AWS, this is something that you would definitely use it. It's kind of a mandate. It's not an option basically. So you will use it for sure. So this is like, it's a powerful utility. And it is like you can basically ingest the data, you can train a model, you can deploy a model, infer it, use it for monitoring, all with just one script. So that's how powerful this utility is. And so it's also basically it integrates with various different AWS, like you have the S3 integration, you have IAM and SageMaker. So it just integrates all these different pieces together. So it's very easy to code if you're using Python. It's very easy to use and integrate. So yeah, so this is this is something that you would often use when developing an AI application in an AWS. And the next one I want to show is, so if you see over here, right, just wanted to show you a comparison. If, say, for example, you're running a HTTP request and you're just going to have, this is certain configuration that you would typically write when you're coding in AWS. You will be using access key, secret key, region, a host, and all those authentication details go into it. So if you compare this one and the Bedrock, so I have actually, I've pasted a Boto3 client over here, so you can see a comparison. So here, like you have 15 lines of code is actually shrink with just one line of code with using Boto3. So that's how, it's like a all multi-liner project is just shrink to just one line. So it's very easy to use when you're using Python. And although AWS also, it is compatible, it also offers, like, if people are comfortable coding with Java and other tools, AWS does offer that as well. But if you see a comparison between Boto3, which is actually a Python SDK, and the third-party SDKs, you will see, like, it's how, it's most of it is like Boto3 will offer full service coverage. It is, the ease of customization integration is really powerful with Boto3 when compared to the other third-party like Java or Go. And just want to touch upon some of the cybersecurity use cases that we're using. So, for example, most of it, like email phishing, is where AI it's being used. Like if you want to detect phishing emails by analyzing patterns, so certain patterns, so they use Bedrock for it, or a SageMaker, so it is used for those, and also for threat detection and response. So if it is like network traffic, for any system logs for detecting wherever you have like threat patterns. So those things are actually being used a lot in Bedrock and SageMaker. Also for so when a threat is detected, how you respond to it. So all the response and instant response side. So that is also a typical use case in cybersecurity for AI. With this, I will probably go to the demo because it's we have 30 minutes more. So let me jump to let me know if you see my AI console here. Okay, so for those who are very new, I'll just say, people, if you have not used AWS before, I'll just give a little bit of a starter, like in case if you want to sign up. So if you have used AWS with Enterprise Edition, most likely you will not have access to Bedrock and SageMaker because it's, you would see some permissions error. Most likely you will not have access to it. But if you are trying to play around with SageMaker and Bedrock, I would highly suggest you create your own account. And this is it's a free account. So, but it does, AWS does charge you based on the models that you use. And if it's a large model, which actually has a bigger GPU and all that, it's going to cost you accordingly. But some of the models that are fairly, less use less resources are actually it's the cost is very minimal. But yeah, so it's actually free sign up for AWS. You can just have to go search for this console sign up, and you can just yeah, so all you need is just to, root email ID and your account name, and you just have to verify that. And it's fairly very quick, actually. So just email address, and it would ask you for credit card information as well to sign up, just an FYI. But just wanted to let you know so about that. So once you sign up.
Can you drop this in chat, the link, so that people can grab it for?
Oh, sure, I can. Yeah, sure.
For the next part 2.
Yes, don't forget, you're going to need the sign up before you come to the part 2 session.
Yeah, so here, that's the link. Yeah, so I would highly encourage you to, sign up for it, because it's most of the tools are actually free to use. So you can just play around with that. Yeah, yeah. So this one, let me go back. I dropped the link there. Let me go back to the console. I already have signed in here. So this is how the AWS console looks like. And a couple of things just for the people who are fairly new to AWS. There are a couple of things that you might have to know. The one is the region. So region is like, if I pull up the region, right? So you have US East 1, East 2, West 1, West 2. You'll have some, India, and you will see lots of regions there. So do pick the region that is closest to you. And you will see that the availability of models will also differ based on the region. But US East 1 and US West 1 is where you will find a majority of models, a lot of models actually, that you can work with. So that's one thing. And just a small note about IAM. So IAM is something like that's also, so once you sign up, right, in AWS, the first thing that you need to do is configure your role and user. Okay, so let me bring this up. Let me search for IAM, because this is something that you would have to do. I'll look for IAM. So you will go to users, and then you will create a user. Okay, so I have 2 users here, and since it's a free account, it will limit the number of users that you can use. Like I cannot spin up like 50, 20 like that. It does have a little bit of restrictions because it's a free account, but it's fairly simple. So you just go here, you create a user, you put in your username. So let's me just say demo2. Then go next. And one thing to note is attaching policies. So that is something to note here. So you would click here. So say, for example, you're wanting to use Bedrock. You're trying to play around Bedrock to infer a model. So make sure that you use this Amazon Bedrock full access. So that will let you have, it's like a Amazon administrator access, like you can do anything like execute, run a model, deploy a model, train a model, and all that. So make sure that you attach this policy to the user. Or what I would say is, if you have an administrator, go ahead and just use, I mean, Enterprise Edition will definitely not have this access for sure, but since if you're signing up, then you can also use this admin access. It's basically a root admin, and you will be able to use all the services in AWS. So once you you create a user, attach a policy, and then it's fairly straightforward. The user will be created, and now once a user is created, so you would go. Just search for Bedrock here, Amazon Bedrock. Okay, so it's coming. Okay, so here, So if you see over here, marketplace, let me go to providers. So in providers, yes, you can see like you have all the top providers. You have DeepSeek, Amazon, Anthropic. So it's kind of a catalog where you can just, you have access to all the models in one place. And if you see over here, 3 models, and this one, 16 models. Amazon itself has its own model, which is called Titan. And Anthropic, you have all these cloud models here. So you will see like the number of models that are actually available for you to use. And there are a lot many actually. There are like hundreds of models that is there in the catalog. And the second thing that you have to remember is if you're signing up, you will be creating a user. Now, after that, if you go to Amazon Bedrock, so scroll all the way down, and you will have something called model access. So you click there. It's under the Bedrock configuration all the way down to the page. And here is where, so here I have, like, if you see base models 52, but if you're just a new user, just signed up, the base model would typically be 0. So you'll have to request the model. You have to request access for those models. So, and it is free. There is no charges for model, like requesting access. And if you see over here in the second column, available to request, so anywhere where you see available to request, so those are available for you. It's free and you can request it. And once you click on that, it will take like 5 minutes for the model to be available. So yeah, so do make a note of that. Yeah, so you'll see like, so there are many models. Well, I've not added them, but yes, so there are many models for you that is available to request. Okay, so that's one thing to note. And you can also modify model access. So you can also remove any models that you don't want to use. You can do that, or you can just add other models, additional models that you want to. Okay, so that is one thing. And let me go back. Okay. So the next thing is, if you see over here, playgrounds, chat, text, image, video, you have builder tools agents. So agents is like, it was available in Bedrock back in 2023 as a beta version. So it just went, it's now in production, which is as early as like March, which is last month, so March 2025. It's a GA, so it's fairly very new actually. So it's something, you know, something to explore for sure. Playground. So what is a playground over here? So if you go here, chat, like let me love this chat. So it's like a chatbot, right, for Amazon Bedrock, where you can select a model. So you can select a model based on, you know, whatever you requested access for. So those will be listed here. So for example, let me go to Anthropic, and I will probably go for, okay, so let me go, this is a legacy. I'll go for 3.5 Sonnet. And okay, and I'll click on apply. Okay. So this is basically, so you can just use this for any chat, like if I want to ask, okay, what is the city? What is the capital of Texas? And run it. Okay, so it's gonna give me, so it's basically like a text summarization model and question answer model. And one interesting thing to note here is, because like for your use case, if you think that you have, you know, a couple of models that you want to go with, Bedrock also gives you this compare model option over here. So if you click on that, proceeding will clear your current chat. That's okay. Proceed. So you can basically compare multiple models here. So here I have Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So here I can select different models. So for example, say if I want to go with something else, Anthropic, I want to, let me go with Amazon Meta. Yeah, let me go with Meta. Oh, I don't have access to it. Okay, I don't have access. Okay, Titan TG. Okay, let me go with this one actually, Titan Text TG. So I can just compare these two models. I'm gonna ask the same prompt, and I'm gonna compare these two models to see what is the capital city of Texas. Okay, you see over here, it's much faster, you know, like Titan is already, like it has given the response, right? And it's just a one-liner, but if you see over here, the response was slower, but it is giving you a lot more details in the output than the Titan. So it's basically, it gives you an option to compare. So if you have like different models that you can compare for your use case, it gives you that option as well. So let me go back to Amazon Bedrock. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to go over is, yeah, so how would you, so evaluation, so if you see over here, marketplace deployments, okay, so one good thing about Amazon Bedrock is it offers an API. Basically, you can just, if you want to use a model in your application, right? So it provides an API that you can just copy and paste in your application, so that will give you direct access to the model. So it's fairly very easy to use. So if you go with a user guide over here, so I think I have a user guide already open over here. here. So I have a user guide already open here. So basically, like, say, you can just say, okay, I want to, like, I'm looking for, something like for chat summarization, a model for chat summarization. So this user guide will give you some options. It will say, like, it will give you a list of models to pick from, and it will also give you like a code examples, right? So, so if you see over here, .NET, Java, and Python, JavaScript. So it will give you it is giving you the entire code that you can just basically copy and paste to your Visual Studio, and you can just integrate with your application. So what it's doing is it's just a Python script. So the one that I already spoke about, Boto 3, that's the SDK that AWS uses, and it's only available in AWS. It's not available in other cloud environments. So this is specific to AWS. And if you see, okay, so this is like, if you see over here, it's a fairly simple code, which is like you're specifying the model ID that needs to be used, the prompt that needs to be given, and what's the format of the prompt. And just a try and catch option over here, but it's fairly very simple. So you can just copy and paste, and you can just use it to integrate with your code with this API. So this will basically, it will so once it's in your code base, so you can just directly prompt engineer the model. So you can just ask prompt engineer, basically you can just fine tune the model, or you can just prompt engineer it based on your use case. So this is fairly very simple to use because it's like you have the entire code here that you can just copy paste. So this is something I wanted to cover for Amazon Bedrock. Yeah, let me go over SageMaker as well. So, okay, so here, go to the Bedrock. Okay, so here, if I search for SageMaker. Okay, so this will bring up Amazon SageMaker AI. Okay, so go here. So the first thing you would see is set up SageMaker AI for single user, or set up SageMaker AI for organizations. So obviously, if you're just doing like for single user, it's for your own purpose, you would go for this one. And so what this basically does is it will create a domain for you. Like for me, it will show up this error because if it's if you're signed up with if it's your own personal use, it's it will only limit to 2 domains per user. So so I've created a domain already. So what is a domain? Basically, it's nothing but an environment. It just provides the entire. So SageMaker is basically provides an ecosystem where you can do everything end to end. Okay, so where you can train a model, you can deploy a model, inference a model. So basically, entire life cycle can be done in SageMaker AI. So a domain is basically when you create a domain, it just like it offers you a package. You can use whatever, like the IAM, and you can use S3 bucket, and everything is pre-configured with that platform. So this domain will have access to everything. So let me click on this RG demo, which is the domain that I've already created before, and it's fairly simple. A domain is like it is just basic questions like what's the name of the domain that you need to go with. It will also ask for network as well, and S3 if there's any S3, like S3 is basically the storage for AWS. So if you have anything configured, you can pre-select that, and you can create the domain. And once you create the domain, the next thing is you create the user for it, right? This is simple too, fairly simple, add user. So you'll just click on here and you would create a user. And once a user is created, you will have this launch option, right? So when you click on launch option, you will see something like this one, Studio, Canvas. All these are basically IDs, the different IDs, just like a Visual Studio, that interface that is offered by Amazon SageMaker. So for today, we'll just focus on the Studio. Canvas is basically it gives you a no code option, like if you're a project manager, like you don't code a lot, so then in that case you can use Canvas. It's basically a low code or a no code IDE interface that SageMaker offers. For today, let me just go click on Studio. So this is gonna open up the interface. Okay. So this will open the SageMaker Studio. So on the left, if you see, there's a Jupyter Lab, RStudio, Canvas, Corridor. So these are the different IDs that is offered by SageMaker. So depending on your, like whichever you're comfortable with, you can go with that. Jupyter Lab is very commonly used for building machine language applications. So yeah, so let me go on Jupyter Lab for now. So I'll just click on this one. There is some spaces that I've already installed, but let me go and see if I can spin up a new one. Yeah, so this is already installed, but if I have to spin up a new one, so just a small note here, okay? So yeah, so let me go here 1 second, Studio. Yeah, so there's something called Create Jupyter Lab Space that you will find on the right top. So you just have to click on this private or share with my domain. So if it is just for yours, just for your use, you're the only user here in this AWS account, go with the private. But if you're working in a team, you're collaborating with other people in the team, then you would go with share with my domain. So it's basically like any code that you use will actually be shared with the other team members as well. So for now, I will just go ahead and just kick off.
Ramya, will this charge us money if we do this? Will the credit card be charged?
Yeah, so this will not. For the Jupyter Lab, no, there will be no charges. But if you are deploying a model, right? So when you're deploying a model, what happens is it creates an endpoint, and once the endpoint is created, it's called a instance. If in AWS, like think like virtual machine, that's what it is in AWS. So if you create a model and you create an instance, and you keep it running, then you will be charged. And you'll be charged based on, let me bring up that pricing actually. So have this already open.
Are there any free credits by any chance? Because I know like Google and Microsoft offer like a bunch of free credits, right? Like starter credits.
Yeah, but for a few things, actually, there is a free credits, but it depends on what kind of model that and only there will be charge only if you are running a model. So if you keep a model instance running, you will be charged on an hourly basis. And it also depends on what configuration your model is. If it's higher usage, like a higher GPU usage, you will be charged accordingly. Let me bring up the model pricing. Yeah, the model instance pricing. I had already opened here. Yeah, so it actually charges based on this one. So more, if you see over here, like over here, this is the instance size. Okay, so if you are going for something like a medium or large, you'll be charged it also gives you the pricing here, price per hour. So typically, like if you're, like if you just want to experiment with AWS, I would suggest you go with a very like a chat summarization, like where it's just a chatbot model where you can just ask a question and it responds with an answer. So those models typically take lesser space. It can be spinned with a medium instance, and so over here it just uses like 4 gig of memory, CPU, and it charges 0.5 cents per hour. But if you're going with a larger, it all depends on your use case. So if your use case is like sometimes if depending on the use case, you might have to go for a larger configuration. In that case, you'll be charged accordingly. So if I go for the larger GPUs, right? So if you scroll down, you will see like the larger GPUs, so they will be charged like $37 an hour. Yeah, so those are actually a little expensive. But if you're trying to just experiment, right, I would suggest just go with that. You will find many models where you will have the model card. So where if you go to any of in AWS or anywhere else, and if you're searching for models, it will also have model card, which will basically also tell you what configuration it requires. So it will just if it is something that can be spinned with a medium instance, go for it. Yeah. So, and once you're done with, like whatever you want to, stop the instance because it charges as per the running instance. Okay. So if you're basically having the instance running for like 2 hours, you'll be actually charged this rate for 2 hours. It's just so to stop the instance once you're done. So that would be a good thing to do. Going back, I hope that answered your question. about
Yes,
the
it did. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so here, so I just pinned up a space, right? The Jupyter space, and you will see like, instance medium. It also gives you an option to even change, if you want to go with, sometimes I've seen like if I've deployed a model in AWS, sometimes, and when I, do an inference, it complains that the resource is not available. So in that case, what I do is I change, it gives an option to change these resources. I can go with an extra large or something like that, and then I can just restart the space, and it will just use the new configuration accordingly. So yeah, if you see over here, mine is okay. God. Okay, yeah. So storage, that's something that you can configure. So certain things that you can configure here. So run space, right? So let me run it. So this was going to take a while, okay? So it will take like 5-10 minutes to spin up a space here. But once you have the Jupyter space, basically you can just use that space for running a code or for running an application. So that's what it's just basically a terminal which you can use to build models. Yeah, the next thing I wanted to cover is, let me go back to SageMaker. Yeah, here. Yeah, so there's something called Jumpstart Foundation models. So say for your person who doesn't code much, you don't want to code, you don't prefer coding. In that case, Jumpstart is a feature that SageMaker offers where you can just deploy a model with a click of a button. So it's very easy to use. For example, like you just go to Jumpstart here, foundation models, and then you search for, say, for example, I want to look for a Hugging Face model. So I just search for this one, and I can go with, just pick a Hugging Face model here. So for example, I have one open here already, which is this model. Okay, so yes, so I don't have that. Okay, over here, distal squared. So let me show you that. So just go back here. So distal squared, yeah.
How do you know which model to select? There are like plethora of models,
so if
right?
yes, there are loads of it. Like Hugging Face itself has like, it's basically an open source model where you can just create your model and you can just deploy it in Hugging Face. It has like tons, like it has probably around 400 models over there to choose. Yeah, it does require some research. Based on projects that I have done, it requires a lot of research to see which one would fit the use case better. But yeah, so here, if I, just let me just pick one of the Hugging Face models. So view model. So if I go over here, view model in Studio, so I'll go over here, click up, okay, create user profiles, and go and use this. Okay, open Studio, right? So it's gonna open the Studio for me in the Studio that I've already using. And you will see some options here, which is the train the model, deploy the model, evaluate the model. I'm not gonna, use that now because it generally, it takes like about 20-25 minutes to spin up a model. To deploy it, but it is just a touch of a button. Like you don't have to, use any code. You don't have to write any code. So if you want to train it with your own data set, you just go ahead and train here. Or if you want to deploy it, you just click on this and the model gets deployed in your environment. And you can use that model for inferencing or, like for integrating with other application. Evaluate will basically, you can evaluate the model based on performance, other metrics that you want to. So it actually, if you see, like it gives you other options. And you might see something like this where, the button would be disabled for you if it's just based on a certain, like your pricing. So it's a free version. It might not, certain models might not be available to train, but it will be available for deployment. So you would see something like that. If that is the case, you will find this, button disabled. But most of the ones you would see, they are ready to deploy. And so here you would see like, what the model is used for and all that. Let me actually go to Hugging Face. Click on Hugging Face. Okay, that was here. Yeah, so I just want to see, show you like, here, if you go to the Hugging Face itself, right? And it's open source as well, so you can just create a username, password. And here, so it also offers an integration for you to, so in the Hugging Face UI itself, right? So you can basically train. So train a model. You can integrate with SageMaker. It does offer that option. You can deploy using SageMaker. So you can see how Azure is also available. And but for most of the models, you will see Amazon SageMaker available. So that's how powerful this one is. So it offers a lot of integration with that. So that is all I have for the demo. So yeah, so let me know if there is any, questions. I'll open the floor for any questions.
There was one from Manish. Manish, do you want to go off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, so the question was predominantly about any of the major brands or enterprises who have actually used these systems and up and running for some time. I know Ramya, you did mention about a lot of people have already adopted, but just trying to figure out how big the adoption is, especially if there are big enterprises who adopted it and running it smoothly.
Yeah, some of the startups. I was actually, I was in a startup meetup last week, and so most of the startups are actually using Bedrock because of the, the way it is, how it's very easily integrated, and it's also like it's very, like most of the hackathons, like we can just spin up an AI application just 24 hours using Bedrock. So it's very fairly easily available for use, and yeah, so most of the it's getting there, but it's fairly new as well, and people are just getting to know about it. So enterprise wise, there it is being used in startups, and yeah, so and people are like, it was just introduced like in 2023, so we are just hardly 1 year down the line, but it is definitely being used in many places.
Yeah, so the reason why I asked that question is depending on how well the applications are architected using this, are they scalable performance-wise? Are they good to take large volumes? So are you saying that is yet to be proven? I know startups typically look at it because it's time to market, which is more important for them. But in
Yes.
terms of large volumes and enterprises, do we have anyone which is already proven in terms of adopting this and running it smoothly, or we are yet to reach that?
Yeah, so based on, my experience, I would say like based on scalability, right? I mean, it actually offers a lot of configuration, that is available, which you can just scalable. It's very, very easy to do. Like if the application, you have deployed a model, and then you find that, okay, it's gonna error out, saying that, okay, so you have deployed it, but you're trying to infer the model. So you would say that it would say right away that, there's no resource utilization. It requires more. So in that case, you would just change the configuration to something that is larger with a larger GPU. And it takes like just few minutes, like maybe 2 to 5 minutes to get you back. So it's very, very easily, it's reconfigurable, scalable as well, and it is AWS. So for sure that it will be, it's highly scalable in terms of that.
Got it. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Any more
Okay.
questions? I hope it was making sense. Probably, I thought I'll just do a demo because demo would probably, give a better understanding about how the UI actually works, and just to get people started with some projects if they want to.
This is amazing. So I actually have a question. So of course, the great thing is that it's on the AWS infrastructure, which I'm assuming is pretty secure. Can you talk a little bit more about the model access and security and guardrails? Because I'm assuming that has to be done specifically. You just can't rely on the overall infrastructure.
Yes, guardrails, it's fairly, you see, it's like for is this, I would say, SageMaker AI, it's just a catalog for all, Hugging Face models. And I find Hugging Face, it's open source. And you will find lots of models there, and it does, so if you're trying to integrate from Hugging Face, basic security is still a question. If you're going
Yes.
to phase and you're just deploying, I mean, there could be somebody out there just deploy the model, but you never know what is actually running, and if there is any, something like security would still be a question, right? But in terms of SageMaker, like if I go directly to SageMaker or Bedrock, and if I'm trying to find models, there will be models based on the number of downloads that has happened so far. So it only gives you access to those models where the downloads are more. And it's not, so if you go to Hugging Face, you will also find models where, there's no downloads, 1 or 2 downloads there. But in Amazon, if you go to Bedrock, it will give you only access to those models, which are, fairly, like, people have used a lot, but it is sufficiently, it's proven that it is a model that is safe to use.
We have a few questions from, I think I see Meenal's hand raised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Ramya. That was an amazing session and quite helpful. I'm familiar with most of the sources in AWS, but Bedrock and the SageMaker AI is something new. So I have one question. Like, what I understand is like Bedrock is like a marketplace for existing LLMs, and SageMaker AI is something where we can create the customized LLMs. But I see in the while you were sharing the screen that in AWS console there are foundation models under the SageMaker AI as well. So how are those models different from the ones under Bedrock?
Yeah, I'll take that question. I'll just give me 1 minute.
Yeah,
My laptop is getting out of charge. Just give me 1 second, please. Sorry.
sure.
And I think, did we have Preeti also and then Zeba? Did Preeti have a question? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll take that question if it's okay. Yeah, so what's the difference, right, between SageMaker and Bedrock? You're right. So SageMaker also offers what Bedrock offers. But what is the key difference is in Bedrock, you will have ready-made models. Okay, you will not be able to build your own model if you want to. Bedrock doesn't offer that. Bedrock is like, okay, like I have a set of movies that I want to watch. I'll pick that movie and watch it. But SageMaker is basically, it's kind of it gives you a platform. It gives you an ecosystem where you can just do your own movie, right? So that is the key difference between Bedrock and SageMaker. In terms of model inferencing, deployment, it's offered in both the cases. Okay, it is offered in Bedrock as well as SageMaker. But what is the key difference is you use SageMaker to build your own model, but you cannot use Bedrock for that. I hope that answers some of your question.
Yeah, it does. But my other question was like the foundation models, like when you were showing like foundation models under the SageMaker, that
Mhm.
also offers you the existing LLMs and existing models like the ones from Hugging Face.
Right.
So is that something which we can customize like through SageMaker AI, which can't be done in the
Mhm.
Bedrock?
Yes, you can do that too. You can customize
Ah,
it.
okay. Okay.
Yes, you can customize it and you can just deploy to Hugging Face
Okay.
itself. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that
okay.
can be done for sure. Yeah.
Sure.
So for the
Okay.
project that I did, I used Bedrock. I did not use SageMaker for it, and
Mm-hmm.
just did the prompt engineer and then fine tune it using a RAG database and vector DB. So it was pretty much yeah, this was used. Bedrock was used because it's fairly very easy to use. You have a
Yeah.
model which is already existing. You just have to prompt engineer, which is mostly the use cases
Mostly.
that we run
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks. That
No worries.
helps. Yeah.
Thanks for that question. Yeah.
Thank you. And I don't know who raised their hand first, but I'm just going to go with Preeti and then Zeba.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
So, Ramya, a quick question is like, in data adoption, we talk about data strategy. Like, so if our data is scattered all around in like S3 and in the different format, and
Yes.
as you shows that on dashboard, that
Mhm.
you can train the model. So,
Yes.
is it like, is there way that you can just define these are the source of data you can pick and then train the model?
Yeah. That is definitely a challenge when like different models actually
Mhm.
work with different data sets.
Okay.
Even in Hugging Face, right? So if you
Yeah.
actually use one model, it
Right.
works specific data set. It doesn't work
Exactly.
with a different data set. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something like so Hugging Face. It's if I choose a model with Hugging Face, I usually try to get a data set from Hugging Face itself.
Nice.
Otherwise it's difficult with there will be a lot of compatibility issues. There'll be a lot of integration
Oh,
issues with that. That's what I've seen. Yeah.
okay.
So I would suggest, like, if you're using Hugging Face, go with the data sets in there itself. Yeah.
I see. So in this, like when we say that train the model, right? Like you have train, deploy, and evaluate directly three buttons. So I was just curious, like how the data
Mhm.
integration happen is like they give you the ability you can fetch the. So if suppose I create the data set, like for the visual questioning, I created the data set, and now I have this Excel sheet with me. I did it manually for now.
Mhm.
So is there a way to upload that data in S3 and connect it? Like because they are in the S3 environment itself,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes. So that's where the it's very powerful, like Bedrock and SageMaker. It's integrated with all different. So you can basically you can have your PDFs, your own data
I
with
see.
S3, and then you can what you do is when you pick up a model, right? When you're creating a model instance, it
Mhm.
will give you an option to select the S3 that you want to,
I
S3
see.
source that you want to. So yeah, so you just select that, and then you go ahead and deploy it. If you're using a jumpstart, I mean that's something that I would highly suggest. If you're new to Bedrock, that is just a click of a button you can do there. And you can also customize which S3 bucket that you want to use. So yeah, it's very,
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Ramya.
no worries, no worries.
Thank you. Hey, Ziba, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Thank you, Ramya, for the session. It was very insightful. I have a question that you provided a stat saying that AWS owns like 30% of the cloud market right now.
Yeah,
And I know there are like different clouds like Google Cloud and then Azure.
yes.
So why do you think like AWS has such an advantage over the other clouds? And when a company is like making a decision amongst different clouds, what is the thing they look for the most? And like things that they can compare. Like for if you're comparing LLM models, we see how much is their context length, how much is their per unit price sort of. So for cloud, what is the comparison
Yeah.
metrics?
Yeah. So see, every nowadays Azure is catching up as well as in terms of like offering its AI capabilities for the cloud. Azure is catching up. But the reason why most of the enterprises go with AWS is it's been the leader in cloud space for a long time. It's been like that since like it's highly scalable. A lot of things are really easy with AWS. So since it's been a leader for the past 10 years, and you have these enterprises where applications are already running in AWS, so they don't want to switch to a different cloud, obviously. So that's where it is like it's still leading because it does offer a lot. Like, for example, there are so many options that it is provided for free, right? So you can pick a model, you can just deploy a model. Everything is actually free. So that's what AWS has been offering. Yeah, so this one, so since because it's been there, like most of the existing enterprises are already tied to AWS, so naturally they go for AI solutions as well with AWS. So that's where it's always been a leader, and yeah. But Azure is catching up for sure in the AI space.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Good question. Thanks, Eva.
And I think we have one from Rupa.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, firstly, thank you, Ramya, for doing this session. Secondly, if I have my use case defined and if I go to Bedrock, what would be the right way to match the right model? Like, is it just research? Are there any other resources like forums or anything that can help narrow down matching of that model?
Yeah, so the first thing I would do, yes, so that's a good question. Most of the things goes like most of the research goes and okay, which one to use, which model to use, because there are many models which will serve your use case, but there will be definitely some differences for sure. For example, there was one model that I was looking for in Hugging Face, which will do the code summarization, but it was just doing a code summarization based on a one repository, but I was looking for a use case where it can do a code summarization from different repositories. So that was not there. So that is something like, that research has to be done. And because Bedrock does offer, like an integrated, it's a marketplace where you can do a comparison as well. So as I showed a few minutes ago, where you can just compare like 3-4 models to see like, okay, this is, and you can also chat like, this is what I'm looking for. And, just do a comparison between these models to see which one would fit my use case better. So that's where Bedrock is very flexible. It gives you that flexibility to do that comparison. So that
So you
helps.
just have to try out a few and see which one gives you the best results.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Perfect. I don't know, Meenal, I guess you just forgot to lower the hand, but your hand is up. Is there another question?
No, Padmini, I'm good. I think I forgot to load the hand.
All right.
Thank you.
So over to you, Vika, to just go through the closing.
All right, we thank you so much. I know we are 5 minutes over, so thank you so much, Ramya, for a fantastic and practical walkthrough, and thank you for everyone for being a part of this session. Remember, if you were a few minutes late, we do have a part 2 coming up with fingers on the keyboard where you will actually get to do some of the amazing things that Ramya was showing us today. So stay connected with Padmini and myself on LinkedIn for updates. And Padmini, do you want to just talk a little bit about all the amazing other things that are coming up in the next few weeks?
Sure. Yeah. So we have more exciting content and speakers coming up. For instance, next week we have Shri on May 7th. And then we, of course, have the part 2 from Ramya and then a few more speakers. We also have a hackathon in June. So please be on the lookout from Yuvika and myself on events. And we are trying to not gotten around to it, but create this email group so that we can reach you guys at your mailbox. So all this, and we have speakers planned all the way till July, August. So please stay tuned and have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much, Ramya, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.